Ouais. Tiens, je te fais un petit signe.
Test audio, test audio, test audio. Test, 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 test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Non? Oui. Test, test. Ceci est toujours un test. Ah.
On entend bien sortir de là.
C'était donc la latence.
Un cran. On finit de configurer 2-3 petits trucs et on va pas tarder à démarrer. Eh ben, on va pouvoir démarrer. Hello. Hello. I will try to speak a bit loud so you can hear me in the back as well. Can you hear me in the back? Yes. Thank you, Emma. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the November edition of the CocoaHeads Paris Meetup. It's been a while. I know. Thank you for being here. We are very happy to be at the Photoroom offices, HQ. Pretty nice offices. Yes. Thank you. And to tell us a bit more about Photoroom, Matt.
Yes, thanks, Greg, for giving me 2 minutes. It was a lot because at some point I was developing some iPhone code, but iOS code, but I don't too much now. So I'm Matt. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Photoroom. We started 6 years ago as an iPhone app, and now we cover from iPhone to API with big user like Amazon or Uber, eBay, like big companies. And just one thing I wanted to tell a quick story that Photoroom wouldn't exist without Apple and iOS, because the reason for creating an image editor and a photo editor was Apple asking us to. I'll tell you the story. I was the PM product manager at GoPro that acquired Superflix. I was working at. And I received this email of like, your app is going to be featured and you need to post it by the end of the day and you'll see millions of downloads. And I looked at the designer in front of me, he was off. And on this day, I had to open Photoshop and spend the day trying to edit the image to look good for being featured on the App Store. And I was very bad. Like, I'm not good at Photoshop. I don't use it every day. And on the side at GoPro, you had an amazing AI team. And I told myself, like, this would be amazing to have the tools that they are using in my computer or my phone. And that's how it started. That's how we met with Elliot after to create an editor that would be simple using AI. And we started Photoroom in 2019. So iPhone, iOS and Apple are at core of the Photoroom story. And so we're really happy to welcome all of you today. We're not two anymore with 120, but we're very good to see you all and help the iOS community. And I'm also, I need to say that every time, we're hiring a lot of engineers, iPhone developers, web developers. So we're hiring a lot.
That's good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Before moving on to Franck for the first talk, quick word I wanted to share with you because one of the reasons there is not that many CocoaHeads meetups nowadays, it's because I've been pretty busy lately. You might have heard about it, but I started a brand new community that's called Dev with AI 6 months ago, which is, as its name implies, related to AI use for developers. So we are a bit more than 1,000 developers today on the Slack, where we share everything we try, where we share everything that fails, obviously, and everything that works sometimes. We have also Dev with AI meetup. Last one was 2 days ago in Bordeaux. Next one is in 2 weeks in Paris. The links is also with this QR code. All the talks of the previous meetups are on the YouTube page as well, and we are also on LinkedIn because, nowadays everybody needs to be on LinkedIn. So if you want to join us either on the Slack to chat with us or at the meetup in 2 weeks, you are welcome to do so. We will talk about lots of different technologies, not only iOS, but everything that's happening around the developer job with everything that's happening with AI today. So on that note, I will give the mic to Franck for the first talk, talking about iOS 26 and everything they've done at Photoroom for this release.
Thank you.
I will. Tu fais le...
Yeah, vas-y.
Hop là. Et voilà.
Alors, juste... Oui, donc... Larissa, do you know where is Mati? Need my
oui, c'est vrai.
My co-host. Let me. So can I exit this? Yes. Really hard to. Got it. All right. All right. Matti, yeah, maybe give him a mic to you. Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. So welcome to Photoroom, as Matt already introduced. For those I haven't met yet, my name is Franck. I'm iOS team lead here at Photoroom. And basically, we're going to talk a little bit about how we implemented, why and how we implemented iOS 26 and how it helped us landed an App Store feature. So Liquid Glass. Liquid Glass is a love letter to visual content. And visual content has always been at the heart of Photoroom. Every step of the way, every step that we make told us that when we put image first, everything else follows. And whenever we drifted away from this, we lost people's attention. So visual content is our story. It shaped everything we've built, and we saw an opportunity in Liquid Glass to serve that purpose. So today we're going to see why and how. For the why part, I'm going to let Matti, our head of design, to tell you more about it.
Before you boo me off stage, I have a degree in computer science, so I'm the most technical head of design that I know of, at least. All right, so let's talk about the why. Our story starts in 2020. It's COVID time, and my room, no, it's not my room, it's AI, but most people's room are like that. So people are thinking about decluttering. They go online, Le Bon Coin, that's the kind of visual they see. It's not really professional looking. I'm sure it doesn't sell super well. If you compare to marketplaces of your choice, much nicer. The difference, the background's white and uncluttered, decluttered. So again, 2020, what do? Do you go in Photoshop? Probably not. It's pretty scary. I've worked for 10 years at Adobe. I tried to fix that. I couldn't. It still scares me. But you can go online and you find this app. It's 2020, it looks magical. You download the app, it's pretty awesome. It removes the background, puts it white. You upload that on your marketplace of choice. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I had not joined Photoroom at the time, just FYC. But the cool thing to look at for the purpose of today and Liquid Glass is that most of the screen is about visual content. And the success of Photoroom is really just, like the idea that you got to show stuff, not really kind of tell too much, just show the things that you want to communicate. Now we're jumping new chapter in the life of AI. We're in 2022. You have your DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, etc. Gen AI becomes mainstream, and your friends and parents are asking about it. We at Photoroom are excited about it, so we try something, and we do this first experience that has a lot of text. We ask users to write to describe their product. We ask them to put an email. We tell them we're going to send you something in 5 minutes, and obviously we pretty much bomb. And you can right away you understand that we bombed because we didn't show again the visuals. We go back to the drawing board. We make it a lot more immediate, like you see your visuals. It's a lot more appealing. We forget about the text. We put images, and again, the show don't tell wins, and we get confirmation that we really have to be visual and show stuff. Just FYI, that's the kind of stuff that you can do with these AI backgrounds and at that point in time. Okay. Third chapter of our AI journey. We're now in mid-2025, last summer. OpenAI releases GPT Image 1. We have Flux with context. We have Nano Banana with Google. A whole new world of possibilities. You start from that image. You get that stuff, it's pretty cool. Or that image, you get all that stuff. It's really nice. And again, we're excited. We put all these things in the app, and then we have a lot of gray boxes. And we lose a lot of the visual. And again, we kind of don't see a pretty good feedback from users. We put a lot of value in the app, and users think that it's a lot less appealing and valuable to them. Back to the drawing board, we invent this thing called suggested edits that we render at real time. We do a bunch of things. And again, the conclusion is show, don't tell, again and again. All right. Now, about a few months ago, I've been wondering, okay, but we're really using 65% of the screen. And what's really important to note is this is pretty opaque. So it's like really looking through a window, and then you only see a part of it. And obviously, everything I've showed before is really about like the more you show stuff, the more success you end up having. So I'm very excited about liquid glass, and we look in September about what to do with the app and what it would mean. This is literally the 65% I've talked about. Well, it turns out with liquid glass, we can show more. After Larissa was like, wow. This is just visual candy. That's no meaning, just nice to see. Yeah, and that's really the story of how we approached and the appeal that we saw in liquid glass. You can now do things like that where you really kind of use that space to be more ambient, place visual, you have your scrolling behind it. And it's really this idea that every time we've been prioritizing showing stuff, the more successful we've been. And liquid glass is really going in that direction. And that's why we got particularly excited about it. There we go. When we did with visuals, everything else follows. That was the why. So from Frank.
Thank you. Okay, come on. Thank you. So yes, we're going to see a little bit about the how. Now, what it looks like under the hood. So we're going to look at different things. It's a bit of a mixed bag of things that we find along the way over the last 2 months when we built to be ready for the September launch. And it's a bit unordered. But first, I want a big thank to Emilia and Jan. They are the engineering driving force behind this change. They're both iOS engineers here at Photoroom. Me, today, I'm merely their messenger. So, tips. I think the two main things that we're going to see along the rest of this presentation is that basically you should limit custom views. And the second thing that you're going to see a lot is if available. This is going to be one of your friends for the years to come. Okay, let's start simple. You know, one thing that we really realize quickly is you should avoid baked-in border and button. Sounds easy, right? Well, we had a lot of them in the app. You can see the Get Pro button or even this button there. So I don't know with the difference here on the screen, but basically you have borders in borders because liquid glass will put a border around your button. So one thing was to remove them. And you get your first if available. All right, back button. So basically, a back button is not a close button. Sounds obvious, right? Well, that's not what we used to do. At one point here, we had this little button on the top left corner, and it's all squished, and basically it doesn't render right. What was happening is that we used to do this a lot in our app. So basically, hiding the navigation, the back button, and then having some custom code into it. Again, just don't do it. It will cause nightmare. Just go with the flow. Yeah. And for this, actually, a really cool thing is button roll. Button roll already existed before. So this is a snippet from Apple. But what they made new in iOS 26 is this close button. And basically, it will solve all the problem that we have. It's going to give you a close button that respects liquid glass, gives you the little transparency, everything is just working just fine. So, but to backport it and still support iOS 18, again, this is one of our navigation close button. It works well, but again, if available. When you put views into like the toolbar items, they are glassy by default. But let's say like here in our case, we have a toolbar item group that display a custom view. This is not glassy by default. So actually, it's quite easy. You just add a glass effect. So that's kind of easy. And well, again, you don't really see it here, but you get the glass effect. With it, you get a free if available. But what about this little view here? This little view has a border, and we were not ready to change it. And it is a toolbar item, so it was glassy by default. Again, to avoid this, very easy view modifier, and you can hide all the glassy effect. So when you're not ready, just have this modifier. And I just told you that everything that is in a toolbar item is glassy. So we start playing into our app, and we see this button. We're like, what's happening? It's not glassy. Maybe we missed something from Apple. No, it was us doing stupid things. Basically, this is not a toolbar item. It's a fake one. It's in this particular case, it was a Z stack in an overlay, basically to get some custom padding. Don't do it. You get yourself into some issue that you don't have to be. Toolbar is really your new friend. You can use it. It's really reliable, and you get everything for free. Quick note, again, we decided at one point to split some group because by default, everything will be in one glassy group space. So you do this little modifier, not modifier, this to add a spacer. My point here, it's again, very simple. But now let's see at how our navigation bar code look like. Okay, lot of if available again. So this is where you're gonna get. I think this is how we are now, and this is gonna stay a little bit this way for a long time. It's a bit unfortunate. Okay, now that we've talked about the navigation bar, let's talk a little bit about the findings that we had in the tab bar. We used to have a lot of hide bottom bar when pushed. This, when we were working on it, we found out that it was not working. And we were like, what's happening? We contacted Apple. Actually, now they reverted it. So it's working again. But in our exchange with Apple, we realized that basically we were hiding it as a design purpose. Whether it's really supposed to be intentional, it's when you hide the bar, you're supposed to put the user into some sort of lock state, a lock editor state. You don't want the user to move anymore. And it's not just, oh, I want to go one level deep in my navigation stack, my navigation bar, and then remove it. But thankfully, most of the work was already done last year with iPad OS 18, because we had this bar that was showing everywhere. And so we already started to rethought how we were pushing the bar or not. And basically, we decided that if we don't want to see the bar, just present in a sheet. And that actually makes way more sense. It starts to make you think about how you're supposed to design your app. Tab bar. We still have things to do. What we discovered. We used to have this, and I'm going to tell you why we were using it on the tab bar. Bit of a hacky thing. But it's no longer working. The reason why it's not working anymore to do this on the tab bar is actually quite funny. It's because it's now Apple territory. When you long press, you have this little glass effect, and they're like, this is the glass effect that we want you to have, and you're not allowed to do anything with it. So, okay, we kind of like give up, and while we were using it, it was a bit of a hacky thing, but it was to change account, basically. And we did it because Instagram was doing it. How Instagram solved this issue? They just didn't implement liquid glass. And I don't know how they will do it, but they're still available. You can go, and if you long press on this account button, you can switch account. Okay, a little bit about floating button. And what do I mean by floating button? We used to have those two buttons in the app when we were switching. They were there if you were in the Home tab. They were there if you were in the Content tab. And they took the hold width, and they had different action. While we were investigating for this, we saw this little modifier that looked perfect. Tab view bottom accessory content, which by definition, and I'm looking because exactly the definition from Apple is place a view as the bottom accessory of the tab view. Sounds perfect, take the whole width. Don't use it. At least don't use it in our case. Our case, we had the button had different meanings whether or not you change tab. And a very good example on how to use this is Apple Music. This is exactly the bar that you see that is on the top. And basically, it means that it's tied to the tab bar. It's not tied to the view that is inside the tab bar, semantically speaking. But to help us a little bit and to modernize our code, we did find one modifier that was helpful, is the safe area bar, edge bottom, which lets you attach any content at the bottom of your view. It's still in your view, but it will sit right on the top of the tab bar, so it works really good. One thing that you will notice, it's that it doesn't take the full width anymore. And again, after we talked with Apple, the content now are more towards hugging the content, so you can have padding, but you should not basically have those buttons that takes the full width of the app. And we used to fake it a little bit, and they said, just don't do it. All right. Let's say about a conversion to a bottom toolbar. In this example, we have this little button called the Manage Account button, which was just a view at the bottom of the screen. While we transitioned to iOS 26, we wanted to really have a nice effect and use everything that we could, so we moved it to a toolbar button. Here it doesn't look very good. It looks very like you couldn't tap on it, but when it's in motion, it's actually really, really nice. You get the blur effect and the transition and morph effect. But we didn't want to overcomplicate our code. We didn't want to have a view specific, a type of view specific for iOS 18, and a view specific for iOS 26, a toolbar. So now that's how it looks on iOS 18, which means that it's a bit, it doesn't look as good as it used to be, but we decided it was a good trade-off so that we can move forward. But I guess this is, my point is that, you can make trade-off. Only you'll have if available. Now, about SwiftUI and UIKit integration, in our app, at one point, we had what we could call a UIKit SwiftUI sandwich, meaning that we had a UIKit container that was displaying SwiftUI, that was displaying UIKit, and so on for like several layers. This definitely breaks liquid glass. So one advice is to be as lean as possible if you end up in our case. So we worked really to remove all of those layers. And while it improved definitely liquid glass and made it work, it also had a nice side effect. You see this little Get Pro button at the top left? We used to basically have a callback that was calling the hosting controller, and then it was showing this Pro sheet, and then this was duplicated on each tab. Now, we just attach the view to the button, and the button is way more self-contained. And this is the same button that we use everywhere. There is no delegate that each hosting controller needed to do the presentation. About a bit the same, views should be presented from their parents. What I mean here is that, especially, for example, for confirmation dialogue, how they used to be, you could basically present them a bit everywhere, and they would show like action sheet. Remember? Now, it's a bit more like iPad. What I mean is that you have this help button that we saw a little bit earlier, and you get this morph effect. So to get this for free, you can attach it to the view that really is going to display it. Otherwise, if you don't do that, it's going to show in the middle of the screen, or you have some modifier to specify at one place. But really, attach it to the button, you get it for free. But it's something to remember. And we talked about the navigation bar, the tab bar. Let's talk a little bit about some just custom view in the app, and especially custom view that want to emulate native component. This view was done 2 weeks before they announced Liquid Glass. We were really happy with it. It blended really nicely. Like we had the native keyboard, this little nice thing on top of it. Then we built with iOS 26, and we get this. So yeah. So my point here is that we just adapt, and that's fine. We have this now. I'm not saying that you should not never do custom views, but when you do it, remember, especially when you want to mingle it with the native component, you have to keep it on top of your head that it might bite you one day in the future, and you need to keep that in mind. We solved this, and now you have a nice if available again. Actually, this morning, I checked. We have 82 if available just for UI code. Okay, so to wrap up a little bit all of this, I showed you different things in the code, things that we've learned along the way. But what did we learn past the code? We learned that design is a dialogue between design team and engineering. It sounds very boring and very over the top, but over the last 2 months, there were a very close collaboration between engineering and design team. We had a special chat channel, and every day, basically, they were back and forth. Engineering coming with issue that we face, design bringing a solution, talking back to engineer, and so on. We even brought Apple in the loop. Apple were really kind to, they had this workshop that it was open that you could apply to and go. And then you had personalized advice. They were really keen on feedback. So all of this was really interesting. And now what we can say is that we have a stronger design system that rely more on native components, that is built with visual content first. And this is all powered by Liquid Glass. And so we come from this on iOS 18 to this. We don't really see, but this is when we built just with Xcode 26 to this. Now, I just want to really talk about the release day. So we worked for 2 months. Everything is ready. We are on September 10th. The RC is done. We downloaded it. We made a final few tweaks. Okay, we're ready. We built this. We sent the build for review on the 11th. The release of the iOS 26 public was 15. So a few days later, we're like, okay, we're fine. Problem, on Monday, the app is still not approved. We actually got even rejected for something that was totally not related and completely fake, to be honest. And so we appealed, and we were like, okay, it needs to be done by 7 p.m. But yeah, by 1 p.m. it was all good, but it was close call. We woke up the morning after, as usual with Apple. It's a really good surprise, but we kind of we wanted it, but we never know if we were going to have it. We were in one of the few first app to be a feature of what's new with iOS 26. And what is really good is that it keeps on giving. Recently, they opened this Liquid Glass gallery online, and again, other surprise really, we were featured on it. This doesn't really drive you I don't think this will drive us many users, but it was a really good recognition that basically we made good work. We made hard work, we made good work. This is about wrapping up, and if I want to finish with one last thing, is basically that we're going to continue with show, don't tell, and Liquid Glass is going to help us going further. And that's about it for me.
Thanks.
Ouais.
Do we have some questions?
First of all, congratulations. Really impressive work on migrating to liquid glass. Today, in my daily work, the greatest roadblock we face working on this topic is working with design and convincing stakeholders to move with Apple towards this new design and to be really to bind with the platform and the design. Can you talk about how? Because you said you had a Slack channel, but how did you have to convince the design and designers to adopt liquid glass? And is there resources that particularly helped you to sell design on this migration? Because I'm guessing it's a lot of engineering hours that you could have spent developing other products and features. So yeah, that's my question. But thank you again and congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I think, well, you don't have the mic anymore, but you can if you want. But just to start, I think it was very easy for us because we were exciting, and remember the design team was very excited as well. So
yeah, when we saw .BC, we're like, whoa, like literally that's what we would have liked to see to some extent, like more screen real estate. At the time, I was like, but wait, because there's so much going on in this liquid glass. Let's wait a little bit. But then our CEO was like, no, we're not waiting. We're going to be ready on day one. So I don't know. It's not a good lesson, I guess, because we didn't have to convince anyone. But I'm just curious, like, what the pushback from your design team or management team is. It about the hours that it would take, or are there other considerations like the way it looks, or?
I don't know how much I can say about this. It's basically a design system that is what it is. So it's basically a design system that has to be on web, Android, and iOS. And they want to have, at least this is what they've told us, they want to have one single design system that is platform agnostic, which I don't think is yes, but
we have a good head of design.
Yeah, I think you're extremely lucky at Photoroom to have this and to have a CEO that believes so strongly in that. And I believe, for example, that Android should follow the material guidelines and blend. But anyway, it's life, and it's super interesting to see the technical APIs and stuff, because we saw Emilia and your other colleague present at Apple, and it was also super cool. So
yeah, it's a bit of the same presentation.
She's trying to find a job at Photoroom.
So it was very opinionated, but I can explain.
We are in agreement.
Okay, I sense that.
Thank you for the presentation again. I have two questions for you. The first one is, did you add some tracking to observe the difference in user engagement since you migrated to liquid glass, so that you can say, okay, with the liquid glass design, there is more clicks or anything? And the other one is, are you using the composable architecture? I saw some screenshot of it, and I would like to have some feedback about this architecture.
So briefly about the tracking, there is no tracking. We have lots of tracking. We do a lot of A/B tests every day, every week we release, but not on liquid glass. It was a design choice in a sense that we really truly believe in it, and there is nothing for us at least, nothing to compare. Really.
Yeah, there's no going back anywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess your question was more like, did you see a bump?
Yeah. So, and about the TCA, I mean, that could be a full presentation, really. I know I dumped the slide like this. It was basically just because it's our code, and I didn't want to write something else. But yeah, no, TCA, it's good. It has been a learning curve, but now we're soon to be 10 engineers on iOS. This really helps us scale. I think it has many drawbacks, but honestly, at 10 engineers working on different things and working different modules, this is a structure we were waiting for, and this really helps us scale. So yeah. Yeah.
Last question? Yes.
Thanks for the presentation. And I have a question, not too much about the design, but more like the featuring by Apple. Did you submit a featuring nomination to Apple, or did you were just surprised that they choose your app?
We were surprised, but at the same time, it was, and I'm being fully transparent, it's because we've worked closely with them. Basically, we knew we had a chance. They didn't say we were going to be featured, but the fact that we attended the workshop, we were there. We talked even after them. After the workshop, we had exchange with them, and basically all of this kind of led us. We had one reach out from I don't remember the name, but someone from the developer community as well from Apple saying, "Continue your work, please. This is really inspiring," and all of those cues really are going towards that we were going to feature. So yeah.
Thanks. Makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your turn.
Yeah. Hop là.
Ah d'accord. Mais du coup, c'est quand même sur l'écran. Donc, je vais faire toute la présentation.
We have a very family setup to make a computer streaming on another computer, streaming on the Apple TV, streaming on the YouTube. So, yeah.
It's okay?
Yeah, no. Maybe full screen is not. Ok. Ah.
Encore?
Non. Attends, je suis là longtemps.
Non, non. Il est là, il est là. Si tu peux le prendre ici.
Non, mais parce que je suis sûr.
D'accord.
Okay. So I'm going to present like this. I'm going to do this. Je peux... Si je mets en plein écran.
Mais si tu le mets en... pas en plein, mais en alt-clic, le bouton là.
Alt-clic.
Ouais, si on clique le bouton là, comme ça répond un peu. Non,
Il refuse.
Ah,
Attends, tu crois que ça marche?
non, il est en
Il est en PLS.
ouais.
Et du coup, ça a changé, ça a tout été. Ah. Non, c'est revenu.
Ok.
Ah,
alors attends, ici si tu fais échappe. Si tu fais échappe. Non, c'est pareil, c'est tout noir.
Non, mais ouais, c'est bon. Attends, je l'ai. On va remettre. Suspense.
Voilà, ok.
Oh.
So, hello everyone. So my name is Amine, and today I will present you how we manage our CI/CD, so using Swift and Linux inside my company. So first, I have some questions. So who has already implemented the CI/CD in personal project and in professional project? Okay, nice. And using CI/CD script? Nice. Only two? Okay. Yeah. So the context in our company, so we work on many libraries and invest a lot on Swift package. Donc we have 15 packages. We have 5 applications, 4 tools, 4 CLI tools, and 1 server-side application using Vapor. So with all this code, the company invested a lot on SPM and Swift. And we have the same rule between CLI, application, library. So we don't have, so we have only the one rule for all this package, for all this code. And we use GitLab CI. We use GitLab page to publish documentation. And we have a 6 Mac mini runner with 2 with the Apple Silicon processor. Our pipeline look like that. On the first, we need to check the code, the format, the lint, and the hammer title to respect the semantic Git message. When it's success, we pass on the test. So we have macOS tests. We can test iOS, macOS application, and for example, on this case, on the tools, we need to test on Linux for 6.1 and 6.2. And finally, when all it's done, we have some acceptance to check if the documentation is good, if we can compile the documentation. And then optionally, we can publish the documentation into GitLab page or to create a Docker container. And for iOS and macOS, it's the same, which the difference is only on the test part, which we just testing the macOS inside the macOS runner. And when all it's done, we can manually publish to the test flight using this tool. So the problem, all this check is run into macOS runner. So at the middle of the day, it's very slow. The queue is very big and it's very complicated. When we commit, we can wait maybe between 30, 60 minutes before our job can run. So it's not acceptable for this company. The solution one, buy other Mac Mini, yes, but it's too expensive. Don't run some pipelines. But the tech lead, it's not acceptable for the tech lead. We can't check the code. We can't check the documentation. So we have steps that need to run. So the solution 2 is to run some pipeline inside Linux. Okay. So the company already have some VM, so we can use it. The CI/CD script is already managed by Swift and Mint. So Swift can run into Ubuntu, Amazon distribution. And as well, we have many containers to use and available for free. And okay, we will use Linux, but we have some acceptance. We need to be built into Linux environment. We need to have semantic release into each update of the script, and we need as well to publish into using the script into test flight and notarize the app. And of course, we have some performance and stability to have. So our tools must run into maybe 16 projects and without changing anything. So when we have an update on our tools, we don't need to update 16 projects. It's not acceptable. So we first start by, so we choose some check. So we choose the code format, the merge title, and the code lint to use it, to check it inside a Linux. And we use, we use Swift argument parser inside our tools. And we must, all the library must run into Linux. So we did a lot of work into many open source projects to be able to run into Linux. So basically, we forked all the project, and when it's done, we propose a new PR into GitHub. And when it's finished, so we are able to use official library inside our tool. And of course, we use Swift Foundation inside Linux, for example, to use to interact with CLI and to request or post some API into Slack and GitLab. And we need as well Git inside our image to be able to do some stuff. I will show you later. And with this change, we can now unit test all important steps of our CI/CD using Swift. And finally, all is built inside Docker VM. The image are released using semantic release, so we can change easily the version inside the project, and all is hosted inside GitLab registry. So the usage with this change, the benefits is we change we divided our usage of macOS by 4. The pipeline is created very quickly, using the cache and using the GitLab registry is so we download the image very quickly. And the CI/CD infrastructure is more stable, and we can run our check inside, for example, a Synology NAS, so everyone can run Swift code inside Synology. And finally, so all the check is run inside Linux. We only have the macOS for iOS and macOS test and for some CLI. And of course, we have just page. We use some CLI inside Xcode, so we need to use it inside macOS runner. So maybe all the pipeline is run inside Linux. So the demo. Okay. So we use Mint. For example, we can run executor help, and here we have all the possibility inside the CLI tools. So we can format, for example. What? It's okay. 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 So, for example, would like to format our code. We just need to run format source, and all the code is formatted. So we don't use any external dependency. All the dependency is inside the CLI. And the same, for example, to lint. So, for example, to link the code, we have report console to see. Okay, so all this warning and failure is printed, and it can use it, for example, by the EI to know which file or which function that need to change, for example, to be able to pass this lint. And we can as well clean the documentation to see if all public variable are documented or not. So no issue found. And we can run all this stuff inside a container. For example, executor format. Okay. Just 1 minute. Okay, so no issue. So we format, we lint the documentation inside the VM. So, and we can use this execution inside a container on the CI. And finally, you can, for example, just show you. So basically, when we create the executor, we create many images and we push inside the GitLab registry, so we can change easily between versions. Inside the merge request, for example, we can have all this lint, all this code quality is generated by the CLI tools inside the Docker. And we have some test coverage as well inside the container, so we can print the coverage directly for the Swift code. And here we can see, that all the are some pipeline as run in Linux. Just to show you this, so the duration, for example, of the check is 17 seconds, and previously I think it took maybe 3 minutes or 4 minutes to check the format for the executor. So it's very quick using this technique, and it's queued very quickly because we use the cache. If the VM is if the image is already inside the VM, so we can use it very quickly. Sorry. And what we can see is the documentation. Just okay. So, and this documentation is generated by the executor, but it's generated in Mac kernel. But you can use it, for example, to know which command need to do or need to add or need to run locally to fix some issue. And we have this documentation, which is generated by the command line. So that's all for the demo. So, what's the next? The next is to post the message inside the Hammer, like Danger do. So we are able, for example, to put a comment inside the file, inside the line, which the warning is happen. Next we will add the coverage, the information of the coverage inside the MR or the PR, and we are already compatible with the Corbutura report is a format which is default format inside the GitLab, so you can see exactly which line is covered or not directly inside the MR. So you don't need to run your Xcode to show that. And the big feature is to use the tools to create a release and the automatic changelog. And of course, more communication with external API and MCP. The MCP will only, so we can run, donc locally, we can create some command of your Cloud Code, for example. And when the time is coming, for example, to commit the code, it can use the tools to format and to see if all the documentation is made it or not, and if is not, it can propose you to create it for you. And of course, add more tooling for linting Markdown, formatting JSON file. In the conclusion, so Linux, so Swift, using Swift inside Linux help us a lot to not frustrate the developer during the MR. So the MR is run very quickly, and the macOS runner is not is always free. It's just used to test the code for iOS app or for macOS app. And don't hesitate to create CLI tools using Swift and the Swift argument parser. And and don't hesitate as well to manage your CI/CD with Swift. It's a very good part of Swift developer. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. I'll let you a few minutes if you want to take the picture. Do we have some questions?
Just a small question. Thank you, Amine, for the presentation. Just a small question: what to do if library dependency of the project is not available on Linux?
If it's not available, so we can't add it inside the project. And if we can, for example, if we can participate to the open source project, so generally we fork the project, we show where we have the failure on Linux. We try to fix. If the fix take long time, so we try to not integrate it or to do it differently.
Haven't you faced the clash of versions, different of versions installed on the project and on the CLI?
So we can so inside the project, so we use Mint, and inside Mint you put the exact version of what we need locally, but the CI can have another version. We don't have the conflict. So maybe the conflict happen when you change the format. For example, when you change the rule of format between version, so you will have effectively a conflict, and then the user can see exactly where is the problem. And I not mentioned, but we use the component and template of GitLab CI, so we can share all the rule, all the CI script inside one project, and we can share it between all the other projects. So it's why we can change the version inside the CI without changing locally.
Small question. Do you use pre-built binaries, new deployed pre-built binaries for your packages?
No, we don't use.
The cache without that?
No. So generally, when we build inside the Docker container, so it takes time, yes, but when it's done, So generally, we don't change it.
Thanks.
I have a stupid question. Why not do all of this with Bitrise? And I have a second question. What company do you work for?
Okay. So the first question, so why we don't use Bitrise? Because the company would not like to have the code outside it's our server. Yeah, that's all. And it's why we prefer to manage our kernel than use Bitrise or other solution like Xcode Cloud. But I not mentioned as well. So for example, to publish an application, so we don't need Fastlane. We add a wrapper around the Xcode tooling, and it take like maybe 14 or 20 minutes. It's very quick, and we know exactly what's happened. And we don't need to have external dependency like Ruby, like different version of Ruby. So all is made inside our tools. So we don't need to be aware of external tools. And the second question, this job was made in Netatmo. Yes.
Okay, and that explains it. I thought it was Palantir or Thales or something.
No.
Do we have a last question? No, it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Je suis tout artisanal, là. Tout maison, là.
Tout maison, ouais.
En plein tout.
Hop là, merci.
C'est juste pour voir si t'es allumé.
Ouais. Non, c'est pas possible.
Je pense pas que sur un. Non. Bizarre. Donc ça l'a pas supprimé.
Bah, non, je pense pas. Attends. Non,
Non,
j'avais
récent.
téléchargé. Non, mais j'avais téléchargé de toute façon.
Non, nice.
Ok. Non, après, tu peux lancer.
Trop gentil, merci. Okay.
Allez.
All right, hi everyone. I'm Nathan, a macOS developer. These still exist. And tonight I'll be talking about performance. I'll be talking about performance in the context of the app I'm working on, Redcon. And so I'll start right ahead with what is Redcon? So Redcon is a new Git client for macOS that I've been working on. It released last year. And Redcon's special power is that it allows you to rewrite history really easily. So that's something you would do, say, before opening a PR. Like before sharing your wonderful commits with the team, maybe you're gonna like rename them, fix up some of them, split some of them, move them around. And so Redcon allows you to do this extremely easily. It's a drag and drop. This is relevant, I swear. So you just move things around with the mouse, delete things inline, fix up, etc. Everything is direct interaction. And like it removes all the friction. You don't have to stash any changes. You can have changes in the working directory and it still works, no problem. You can undo anything with Command Z. And if you have conflicts, you don't even have to resolve them at first. You can keep making changes while you have conflicts. I'm telling you all of this because that means that Redcon needs to be extremely responsive. You're doing a quick operation and then another one and another one. Redcon needs to really quickly react. Otherwise, you're just going to click on dead air. So Redcon needs to be fast. And when it was released, it wasn't. Redcon was extremely slow at release in larger repositories. In small repos, it was fine. Like if you had a couple of thousand commits, all right. If you had, say, 186,000 commits, like in the Swift repository, Redcon was just insufferably slow. Just rewarding a commit would take 9 seconds. So you would select a commit message, type a new one, press enter, and then watch the app freeze for 9 agonizing seconds. Terrible. That was reckoned 1.3, and in 1.4, that jumped down to less than a half a second. That is a 20% faster, not percent, 20 times faster. Thank you. Oh, that's so Thank you. And so this is for community rewarding, but this actually applied to everything in the app. Every single operation in the app is massively faster, from displaying commits on an important operation, you'll agree, to like just staging a file, which my favorite, 3 times faster in certain situations. So thank you. So that was Redcon 1.4. And you know, I'm not here to talk about this. I'm here tonight to talk about how. How do you get great performance improvements? What's the secret? What's the one thing? And you might have guessed already by my phrasing or by the description of my talk that there is no one single thing. Instead, a bunch of small improvements together that adds up to a big result. Although this to say that tonight I'll be just listing off a few of the most interesting, just a few, the most interesting performance improvements in Redcon, the optimizations. And so let's start right ahead with picking the right strategy. So something that happens quite often in Redcon, which makes sense, is that it's going to write files to disk. You're switching from one branch to the other. Well, it needs to update the files, delete files that aren't there anymore, update files, you get the idea. The way it used to do this was pretty straightforward. It would ask the library, so we're using libgit2, it would ask libgit2, hey, please, can you check out the new head? That's it, the head being the branch. What libgit does in that case is that it looks at the disk. It looks at the files on disk and compares these to the new head. And this way, libgit2 knows exactly which changes to make and makes them. Everything works. So this was the original strategy. Let's call it the full checkout one. And it works, but it could be faster. Because Redcon has a slight advantage here, is that it keeps a cache of your working directory. So at all times, Redcon knows exactly what files are on disk. So you don't need to go and read the disk to know what has changed because you already have the cache in memory. So this gave way to the second strategy, or strategy B, the masked checkout one. And so it goes like this. It's in 2 steps now. First step is we perform a diff. We compare the in-memory workdir cache to the new head. Gives us a list of modified paths. We know exactly which files have changed. And then, once again, we ask libgit2 to check out the new head, except this time we can tell it exactly which paths have changed. And this was a lot faster. I don't have numbers on this one in particular, but it allowed libgit2 to skip scanning the whole working directory. If you had 1,000 files in your repo and only one had changed, then libgit2 would only have to look at a single one, whereas before it had to scan the whole thing. So B, much better. A, goodbye. Except at some point, turns out, I was doing some more testing, and it turned out that B was faster sometimes only. And this is where it gets interesting. Sometimes A was actually faster. So I was at a loss. What do? Do I just pick one at random? Obviously not. It wouldn't be in the talk otherwise. I don't talk about the horrible mistakes, only the cool ones. And the thing is, it turned out there was a way of knowing which one was going to be the fastest in advance. It seemed that the number of change files was this determining factor. If you had one change file out of 100, out of 1,000, B was faster because it allowed libgit2 to skip a lot of them. But if you had a majority of change files, like 700 change files out of 1,000, then A was faster. The overhead of passing an array of paths apparently makes libgit2 slow down in this case, so we want to use A. So now it goes like this. The current implementation of this in Redcon is like this. We move out this diffing from the strategy B. We just do it all the time. This is the first step of every checkout. What this means is that we now know exactly which files have changed, and we know the ratio of changed paths. So we compute that ratio, and then we just choose based on its numbers. So whether it's above or below 10%, we choose A or B. And 10% was just determined by testing, trial and error, looking at some situations, seeing what's fast, and Turns out that 10% is almost exactly where the two strategies are exactly as fast. And then if it's higher or lower, pick A or B. What I find interesting about this little thing is that this means that in the source code, you have two pieces of code that have the exact same effect. They implement the same thing, and the outcome is the same, whether you're an A or a B. It's just one of them is faster, so you pick dynamically based on something you've determined predicts the performance. You pick dynamically which one's going to be faster. You do the same thing in two different ways. And so that was picking the right strategy. For the second one, let's go to something different. Speed through design. So that was technical. This is not. There's another thing that happens quite often when you're using a Git client. It's files changing on disk. But this time, it's not the client changing the files. It's you changing the files. You're in Xcode. You type some code. You save. But your Git client needs to pick up on that. It needs to notice, and it needs to update its UI. To do this, Redcon simply has a file system watcher, so it notices the changes and updates its UI immediately. All right, cool. This works, but it could be too much. If a lot happens, say you copy a folder with 100 files from a hard drive into your repository, you're going to have a lot of copy. It's going to be a copy, and a copy, and a copy, and a copy. And the UI would update every time, which is pointless. You don't need, as a user, like 3 updates a second. You're not going to be able to read them. This is going to waste CPU power and maybe even battery power. Terrible. So to prevent this problem of excessive updates, there's a simple solution here, and it is throttling the updates. We're not on the interesting part yet. So throttling the updates is like, all right, whenever there's an update, we set off a timer, say 3 seconds. And for 3 seconds, updates are disallowed. When the 3 seconds expire, if an update was pending, was queued, we immediately do that update. So this is nice. At most, 1 update every 3 seconds. All right, so we're preserving resources, we're updating the UI. But now this creates another, actually interesting this time, problem. The user can wait. And I don't like waiting. I don't want to make my users wait. If you make a change in Xcode and then immediately switch to your Git client, you want to see the thing. You don't want to wait for an update. You don't wait 3 seconds for some throttling or something to happen. You don't care. You want to see the update. And so we have this tension of we want to throttle updates, not to overuse resources, and also we want to be instant for the user. The fix here, once again, it's extremely simple, but still interesting. The thing is, the user tells us exactly when they want to see updates. Because when you create a commit, the first thing you do is you switch to your Git client. So let's update at that point. So whenever you switch to Redcon, it updates the UI. This is very simple, both technically, because this is literally a single line of code, but also it doesn't take a genius to come up with that. Okay, yeah, when you switch to the client, it updates. But what's interesting about this is that it's got a very real impact. The app is faster. Technically, we didn't use a better algorithm or a better fit for a data structure, and yet the app is faster. It doesn't just feel faster, it is faster. Perceived speed is real speed. The app before the user would wait for 3 seconds, and now they don't wait from 3 to 0. That is a real performance improvement. So the thing for this one is really performance is not just about making the app actually faster, the code faster, but also about understanding the situation, the way your app is used, and designing for that. And you can get speed through design. Now, third section. I'm going to give you small examples, a bunch of them, quickly. So this is the lightning round. Let's start lightning quick with lazy loading. All right, a common site in a Git client is the commit list. In Redcon, it looks like this, and it also shows the tags for every commit. The way this used to be done is that whenever the list was refreshed, Redcon would look up the tags for each and every single one of the commits. Fast enough in small repos, but when you have 200,000 commits, this actually took a lot of time for nothing. Looking at the tags of anything but the 10 first commits That's a lot of wasted work. You know, the users are not going to see them all. Yeah. So here the change was to not load the commit ahead of time, but instead wait until a commit shows up on the screen, and at that point we load its tags and cache the results. So really moving the work from doing it ahead of time to instead doing it at the very last moment, doing it lazily. All right, lazy loading. Simple, effective. It actually cut the loading time of the list and the refresh time of the list by half. So 50% of the time was basically wasted. Not bad. Ad hoc data structures. This is a piece of code in Redcon. It's for the div view, so there's a list of files, right? The list of files in a given commit. And something we do quite often with the files is that we try to find one of them in particular based on its URL. So what we do is just we use the first method on the array to find the first file with the right URL. All right, sure. This works, but once again, yes, it works, but it's too slow. If you have many files and you do this operation pretty often, it's slow because the first method needs to scan through the whole array before it finds the result. Many files, that's a lot of scanning. Our advantage here is that we know how we're going to access the data. We know we're going to look up the files by URL, so we can plan for it and add a new property, say files by URL, which is a dictionary of URL to file. So for every URL, we can easily find the file. This is second property because, hey, say the first one has an order and we do want to know the order of the files. So it's interesting as well. Though in some cases, we could just keep the dictionary itself. And since we have two, we do need to keep them in sync. Whenever the files array changes, we need to update the dictionary. But now this means that for looking up a file, instead of scanning slowly through a whole array, we can just ask the dictionary, hey, what's the file of that URL? And this is extremely fast because dictionaries are built for this. They are built for lookup by key. For the nerds amongst the crowd, and that's everyone, but for the particular nerds who love big O notation, this actually takes us from big O of n, that's linear time, which is all right, to big O of 1, that is constant time, absolute constant time, because dictionaries are that good. They're built on hash maps, which gives them that amazing speed. So if you do a lot of lookups, this changes everything. So really, once again, this is because we know how we're accessing the data, so we can optimize for our usage and create an ad hoc data structure. All right, at this point, it's getting dumber. Like, this sounds cool. Redundant assignment guard. It is not cool. This is code in the Redcon controller. All right, editable, Boolean, right? When you set it, we refresh the view. Yeah. What if you set it to true and it was already to true? We still refresh the view. That is bad. Let us add an if statement not to do that. That's it, right? This is really simple. You might not need it in some cases if you're using SwiftUI, etc. Sometimes you need it. It makes a real difference. You didn't need me to tell you, but yeah, it makes a real difference. And now for the last one, which is even dumber. Here's a method. This is a method that is in Redcon. It's called create in memory copy of. And you don't need to understand what it does. Just that it's really important. I use it a lot. And so at some point I was like, all right, let's optimize it. I spent some time optimizing it, and it was a lot faster, 10 times as fast. I was really pleased. But then when I looked at the performance again with the profiler, I realized it was really fast sometimes, and other times it was really slow again. I couldn't understand. And the thing is, I did not have a create in-memory copy of method. I had two create in-memory copy of methods. One of them was defined in Objective-C, and the other was in an extension in Swift on the very same type. I had been using them interchangeably without realizing for years, I think, which is embarrassing. I told you there were mistakes. So the fix here was not exactly too complicated. I deleted the slow one, only switched to using the fast one, and then it took a good nap. I needed it. And thank you very much. One last thing. During the questions, here are some links. You can scan the QR code to get everything. You obviously have my social links. You have Redcon. Go try it. It's amazing. You might love it. And as for resources, you have my blog at the top, Banding Design, which I've been posting about this very topic. optimization in Redcon with a bit more detail. So if you like this, you might like that. And for the videos, Apple has a lot of videos on performance. They're good. The first one is amazing. If you are getting started with performance optimization, it teaches you how to use Instruments, the tool, to understand what is slow in your app. It teaches you how to understand the data that Instruments is giving you, which is also a pretty important task. And it even teaches you the mindset, how you should think about optimizing your app once you have the data. It is really good, and I recommend it even to people who do not work on Apple platforms, because it's that good. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Yes.
So, thank you for the presentation again. I have two questions. The first one is, are you working alone on Redcon? And the second one is, did you only use instruments to monitor the areas in your app that were slow, or do you have some techniques to detect them?
Good question. Thank you. Yes, Redcon is a one-person project. It started as a it started as like a passion project. I was like, oh, I have some free time. Let me just build a little thing. I think I wish this existed. Very classic. And then this 2-month project, grew into like a 2-year project, and 2-year and counting. So yeah, it's my little baby. As for measuring speed, it's interesting. So to understand performance, yes, I use Instruments, I think, almost exclusively, and also just using the app and seeing if it's fast enough. But, 2 other things. I have telemetry deck in Redcon, telemetry, right, and analytics. And so some operations are measured. It's some custom but very simple code where anything that runs in Redcon will go through that closure, and the duration of the closure is measured. So I can see on my dashboard if operations are getting slower or faster, which I think is interesting, but also, if your app is too slow, people are not going to use it, right? So people working on Swift, say, the language, they would not use Redcon. So that did not tell me maybe actionable data. I'm not sure how useful that is. The other thing that was really useful is that people would complain. They would send me an email, and I would love that. I would like, Redcon is too slow in my repo. And I would ask for stats, or like, hey, how many commits, how many files, etc. At first, I was sending them a little script that would count the files in their repo, the commits, the weight of everything, the number of tags, the number of branches, just all the stats. And now it's actually integrated in Redcon itself. So it's a Mac app, so there's a help menu. Where in the help menu, if you go to contact support, it gathers those stats first and attaches them to the email. And this has been invaluable. When I optimized Redcon, the question was, yeah, but up to what point? Like, when do I stop, right? I spent 2 months optimizing. Could have spent a whole life, I guess. I didn't want to. So the target repo, I could choose target stats based on what people were reporting was too slow for them, where they were actually using this. So if you open the Linux repo, for instance, in Redcon, it'll die, right? Do not do that. It is the most massive repo you can imagine. But most repos, I think all repos that people are contacting me with stats for, I can say that Redcon supports them. Yeah. So that was really important in knowing up to where to go.
Bravo, Emma.
I have not optimized delivery. Actually, lent me.
So I'm a big Gitkraken enjoyer, and I'm a really big Gitkraken enjoyer. So I'm using it a lot. And on Gitkraken, you cannot do custom action. For example, if you want to do a button with like git push force, you cannot do that on Gitkraken in one click. You need to do it in command line, or you need to git push, and then he's gonna ask you like, do you want to push force? Can you do that in Redcon? Can you do like custom action?
Yeah, can you add PCs to the UI?
Yeah, for example.
No, you can't. No, but that's a good idea.
And like, did you implement non-native Git commands? Like, for example, you cannot unsquash a commit. It's not easy. Like, it's not just one command.
What do you mean by unsquash?
Like, you squash 10 commits and you want to unsquash them.
Yeah, you want so I don't know if that answers your question, but there's undo, right? Like, if you just squash them, you can just undo and you'll get the unsquashed commits back.
You can, but it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Like, what if you deleted the branch, for
Right.
example?
Yeah, no, for reaching further back in the history,
Yeah.
you have to resort to Git commands. I mean, personally, I've never used a Git client where I didn't also have to use the command line alongside it.
Okay.
But some people happily do, and I wish for Recon to be that for them. But yeah, it doesn't cover all the bases yet. It does not have all the features of Git Kraken of my my other competitors. Not by a long shot. It's focused on history rights, and I wanted to do all of the daily stuff, but right now it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Do we have a last question before someone gets angry because of the pizzas?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Neither do I.
Hey Nathan, thanks for your talk. Very quick question. Have you ever heard about Jujutsu?
I have. And that's interesting. So this is not about performance at all, but so Redcon, when it was first released, I would probably say it is the fastest way to rewrite your history. Like, period. Not the fastest GUI, the fastest tool all around. Because of the tools, right? You have keyboard shortcuts and all, right? You can use it really fast in that way, but it's also about mental load and the things you need to keep in mind. The fact that you can have a conflict and ignore it until later, that allows you to go so much faster. There's a lot of things you don't need to think about. So it's super fast in that way. And yeah, I would say even beyond command line tools, because of these things, I think it beat them to the punch. Jujutsu is much better than other tools on that. They have some really good ideas. I'd say it's basically the closest equivalent to Redcon, except it's command line. Yeah, I think they have a much steeper learning curve, and they make some different choices. I don't agree with some of them, but I'm the developer of that app, so of course I agree with my app, right? But yeah, they're really interesting competitor. I think the closest competitor, Redcon, and yeah. So yeah, probably.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just before we get up for the pizza, just want to say, so yeah, everything will be there. Toilets are right there, if people want to ask. On the way back, please free to grab some goodies on the way back. You see there's stickers, screen cleaners, gums. Just take what you want. And also, they're already hiding, but yeah, it's for them. But I want to say a big thank to also the people of Photoroom that
One last word before you leave. As I said before, I'm lacking more and more time to organize those events. So I'm looking for someone to come help me organizing the meetups. So if there is somebody here who is interested, come see me after that. Thank you.
Yeah.
C'est moi qui peux raccrocher parfois.